As I share a teaching, I invite you to settle in and take a breath or two at your own pace. And you're welcome, if you would like to, while I speak, to close your eyes and rest and let the words and images wash over you. And you can pay attention to whatever arises in your body, heart, and mind as I give this teaching. So in our Parsha this week, Parshat Akev, Moses retells the story to the Israelites of his smashing of the first version of the Ten Commandments when God saw the people worshiping the golden calf. And Moses then retells of his bringing the newly carved, intact tablets down and depositing them into the ark. But the question remains of what became of the broken tablets? Were they just left there at the foot of the mountain, scattered about to deteriorate over time? The Torah doesn't tell us. One midrash tells us that Moses picked them up and put them in the ark along with the whole tablets, and that they remained together. Another midrash tells us that two arks journeyed with Israel in the wilderness, one for the whole set of tablets and one for the broken pieces. And the ark in which the whole tablets were placed was kept in the tent of meeting, but the one containing the broken pieces would come and go with the people. And that one day both sets were placed together in the Holy of Holies in the temple. So what do we take from this idea that the ark with the broken pieces stayed close to the people? We might think that it's because of the imperfection of human beings versus the perfection of the Holy Blessed One. But I like to think it's because the broken tablets were even more treasured by the people. They took them with them wherever they traveled, just as all of us take the broken parts of ourselves wherever we go. And what I also take from these midrashim is the importance of holding in our awareness the truth of our wholeness and the truth of our brokenness. It's not one or the other. There are aspects of ourselves that are intact and easy to see, and parts of ourselves that are painful, that contain our painful histories, our current pain. Our mistakes and difficulties are as much a part of us as the more pleasant parts of ourselves. And our world, similarly, is not only broken and it is not only whole. It's easy in these difficult days that we are experiencing right now to believe that it is all broken. And there is so much that is broken. But that is not the complete truth of how things are. There is brokenness, yes. And there is bravery and strength and dignity and kindness and compassion in our world every day. Mindfulness helps us notice not just the brokenness and not just the wholeness, but all of it, and helps us bring balance to our awareness. Mindfulness is about bringing the fullness of ourselves, the fullness of the moment on our journey through the wilderness. So as we prepare for Shabbat together on Parshat Akev, we can practice creating a container with our awareness for both the wholeness and the brokenness, this holy arc of the present moment. So we'll move into our meditation, and I'll guide us into it with some grounding. We'll have some silence. as well. And if any instructions that I give are not wise for you for any reason, it's fine to modify the instructions however you need to. You can always open your eyes, take a break, stretch, whatever you need to do to take care of yourself. Okay, so let's find a comfortable, workable position for this period of meditation. And I invite you to either sit in a chair or on a cushion, or if your body needs to lie down, you're welcome to lie down or recline, or stand up if your body needs to stand up. So just listening to this holy vessel and what it needs right now. So I invite you to close your eyes or keep them open with a soft and gentle gaze. And whether your eyes are open or closed, inviting your eyes to rest. Finding a stable place for your feet on the ground. Finding balance in your seat. Letting your hands rest wherever they're most at ease. Inviting anything extra, any extra effort in your body to soften as much as possible. Letting go of expression in your face. Letting your shoulders drop. Softening your belly, fingers, toes. Letting your arms rest. Letting your legs rest. Softening whatever can be softened. And allowing your breath to flow freely and fully in and out at its own wise pace. Noticing sensations of contact that help you to know that you're here. The feeling of your feet making contact with the ground. The feeling of your bottom in the chair. Sensation of touch at the hands. Sounds entering your ears. The movement of the breath. All of these sensations helping us to arrive Taking a moment to check in with yourself and to notice whatever is prominent in your awareness right now. Sensations in the body, thoughts, emotions. And perhaps bringing curiosity, noticing whether what your attention is drawn towards is pleasant or unpleasant. And not needing to do anything about that, just noticing what's here, whether it's pleasant or unpleasant, or neither. Many of us are predisposed to notice what is difficult or unpleasant or uncomfortable. This is a habit of our minds. This can be a habit of our minds. And again, we don't have to make that go away. We can try to bring a caring, non judgmental awareness to whatever we're experiencing. And perhaps bringing a widening of curiosity to your experience right now and noticing what else is arising within you. Are there sensations that are grounding or soothing? Sensations that might even be pleasant or neutral? And we bring curiosity to this, not to deny what is unpleasant or difficult, but to bring balance to our awareness, to notice the fullness of this moment. As we continue to sit, I invite you to let your attention rest with your entire body as your anchor. With its variety of experiences arising and passing, coming and going. This holy vessel of complexity. With the spaciousness to hold all of it. And if this wider awareness of your full body's presence is a little too much for you today, you can always choose to bring your attention in close to your breath or to another grounding, stabilizing sensation. And anytime your attention wanders, gently bringing it back. So we'll continue to practice silently together for a little while. If you've gotten lost or distracted, caught up in stories, planning, problem solving, it's okay. It's part of this practice. Noticing whatever has arisen, and perhaps even imagining holding it, placing it within the spacious container of your awareness, whether it's pleasant or unpleasant or neither. And along with whatever is arising in the mind, we can also notice that the body is sitting here and the breath is coming in and going out. Continue silently for another minute or two. You can begin to let instructions go, allowing yourself to simply rest here in your full, awake presence. And I'd like to close this meditation with a poem by Alice Walker. And you can just listen and let these words wash over you. This is I Will Keep Broken Things by Alice Walker. I will keep broken things. The big clay pot with raised iguanas chasing their tails, two of their wise heads sheared off. I will keep broken things. The old slave market basket brought to my door by Mississippi, a jagged hole gouged in its sturdy, dark oak side. I will keep broken things. The memory of those long, delicious night swims with you. I will keep broken things. In my house, there remains an honored shelf on which I will keep broken things. Their beauty is, they need not ever be fixed. I will keep your wild, free laughter, though it is now missing its reassuring and graceful hinge. I will keep broken things. Thank you so much. I will keep broken things. I will keep you, pilgrim of sorrow. I will keep myself. Taking a moment to pause and offer yourself appreciation, gratitude for taking this special time today to cultivate mindfulness and spaciousness, spaciousness of mind and heart that we can bring into our lives and into the world. As you're ready, if your eyes have been closed, I invite you to open them. Feel free to stretch or move around if you need to. And I will pass it over to Sam.
Thanks so much, Emily, for that wonderful teaching and guided practice. I'd like to invite anyone who may be commemorating a loss to rise in body or in spirit, or both, to recite Warner's Kaddish with me. You're welcome to share the names of those dearly departed in the chat as well, so we can keep them in heart and mind. And for anyone responding, you're welcome to come off of mute and say Amen and offer your kind, compassionate presence. Yitkadal v'yitkadal.
Amen. I called up your call. I ate a cold meat.
Loves Margaret. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Amen. May the memories of those who have passed inspire us to continue our practice for the benefit of all beings, so that we can bring forth greater compassion, kindness, wisdom, and justice. Let us say Amen. So if you're leaving now, I want to wish you a Shabbat Shalom. May it be a peaceful and restorative Shabbat. For those who want to stick around, Emily's here with me for about another 15 minutes or so. And if you'd like to ask a question, please place it in the chat and preface it with the word question in caps. Just make it easier for me to find those questions. Before we turn to questions from the participants here, Emily, I'd like to follow my friend Rabbi Mark Margolius's lead here and just kind of reflect back what I heard. Of course, if there's something that I'm misremembering or that I didn't get right, please correct me. But I really, first of all, took a lot of inspiration from that teaching, so thank you. And really appreciated how you brought the classical midrashim, the rabbinic interpretations and stories to bear on our lived experience here and now. So what I heard is that you brought these two midrashim, one of which talks about how after Moses broke the tablets and then received the new tablets, he placed both of them inside the Ark of the Covenant that lay in the Holy of Holies. And then another midrash that talks about how there were actually two separate arks, one that contained the whole tablets, which were in the innermost sanctum, the Holy of Holies, in the Mishkan and the tabernacle, and the other set, the broken set, in another container that actually stayed and moved with the people themselves. And reflecting on what those midrashim might be inviting us to explore and experience, right? You provided such a beautiful and inviting teaching about how, us human beings, we're actually both broken and whole, just as the world is both broken and whole, right? And though sometimes we may have a tendency perhaps to focus more on the difficult, the broken, in meditation practice, and particularly unpleasant, those things that, we tend to kind of reflexively push against and resist and become aversive in the face of. We can also train in kind of noticing that simultaneously at the same time, there's a kind of hidden wholeness, and we can actually train our minds to hold both simultaneously. in the spacious container of our awareness. I love that language that you use, the spacious container of our awareness, which can hold all of it. So did I get that right?
That was great. Yes.
Okay, great. Wonderful.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
So before we turn to questions from the participants, can you say a little bit more about this phrase, the spacious container of your awareness? I love how, you did it in such a smooth and kind of understated way, but you actually were making a beautiful and big claim there during the meditation practice, which is that each of us is like an ark, right? Because we have this spacious awareness that enables us to hold both the parts of us that are whole and the parts of us that are broken. Can you say a little bit more about how you
Yeah.
experience that spacious container, you know,
Yeah.
how you access it, what it's like for you to rest there?
I think I will answer this question with a bit of a personal story, if that's okay. Um, and I'll try not to make it too long, but I learned how to meditate when I was in high school. I have a chronic illness, and when I was in high school, I was really struggling with that illness. It was flaring up a lot, and so much of my mind was consumed by everything that was wrong with my body, and how much anxiety I had about my body and how it was failing me. And when I encountered mindfulness meditation and learned how to sit and be with my breath and then notice the thoughts, the worries, the fears, the judgments, the discomforts in my body, and also notice that I was breathing and I was in my room that I loved on the pink soft carpet, and my parents were nearby, and I could hear my sister, and and I was struggling with my body, and these other things were true. And so when I think of that spacious container of our awareness, that's what I come back to, is that ability to hold this wider view of what is, and how that can really help us to work with our suffering and to have some peace in the midst of difficulty. Um, so that's my answer.
Thanks so much for sharing that story. Yeah, as a person who has lived for a long time with chronic pain and illness, I really relate to that also, and the ways in which kind of sometimes in the face of difficulty, I can experience this kind of tunnel vision, right? Where I kind of become hyper focused on the difficulty. And I love the invitation here to kind of open the aperture wide, right? So we can let in the full range of our experience, which also contains the pleasant and the beautiful and the compassionate and the caring and that which is, innately connective and whole. So beautiful. So we have some questions here. Let's see what we have here. We'll start with Shamaria here. It feels to me that the broken pieces of our lives don't ever go away. They are remembered. We will carry them forever, but they need to be unpacked occasionally. Do you see this?
Mm, they need to be unpacked occasionally. I'm really curious about how you're using the word unpacked, whether you mean sort of unloaded and set aside, or unpacked and looked at. And um, I actually agree with both of those things. Um, I think unpacking and examining and looking at is actually, what we're about to do in the month of Elul. And the High Holy Days is, examining uh, our souls and examining the stuff that is hard, and the mistakes, and um so I do think that we do need to unpack and examine them. And if what you mean is unpack and, set aside, don't don't include it, don't look at it, or, move your awareness away from it. I do think that there are times when that is skillful, when we're overloaded, when we're overwhelmed, when it's just really too much for us, and to turn towards what is difficult would cause us um, to crumble, or would cause us harm. I do think it's skillful to intentionally choose and say, I not right now, not right now. I'm going to move my attention to what is more grounding and stabilizing for me right now, and I can pack it later. I can repack it later when I'm ready. Um, so I think that's a great addition to this image and metaphor. So I hope I'm understanding the way you're using that phrase, that word. But yeah, I like that. Thank you.
Looks like Shamaria gave you a nice thumbs up
Okay.
there.
Thank you.
Looks like
Great.
we're in good shape here. Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, I love that. My colleague at the Institute, who I know you know well, Rabbi Jordan Ben Appel, teaches that Ecclesiastes says there's a time for everything under the sun, but doesn't tell us what time it is right now. But that's where our practice is really helpful, right? Right?
Yes.
Time for difficulty and hold it in the spacious container of awareness. Is this a time to divert my attention towards something that may be more nourishing or resourcing or what have you? So I love just the responsiveness of your answer, right? And how it really invites us to be awake to what's true right now, and how can we really move with the currents of our lives, right? As opposed to trying to superimpose some hard and fast rule about what we should do in all circumstances and under all conditions. So thanks.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm noticing a question here from Joseph. And I just want to say, I want to give you an out if you don't want to address this one, because it's a tough question. Um, and I think it's a good
Yeah.
question, especially now. But I can understand how being asked this question on the spot, could be
Okay.
a little bit difficult. So Joseph asks, about Alice Walker and her anti-Semitism. He acknowledged that the poem was really beautiful and moving, and that the sit was really beautiful and moving. But and he also writes that the question is unfair. How do you decide for yourself, separating the art from the artist?
Mm,
Certainly something we encounter a lot now in our culture, right? That there may be
so
beautiful
true.
in literature.
Yeah,
The people who wrote it may hold beliefs that we may find to be very problematic, right?
absolutely. I don't mind addressing this question. And to be perfectly honest, I am completely unaware of Alice Walker's anti-Semitism. I'm gonna go have to read about this. This poem's been in my meditation library for many years. I love this poem, and I don't know. So I'm gonna go do some reading to learn about about this. Um, and I know that there are some, uh, artists who, and I, I don't consider anti-Semitic, that other people do consider anti-Semitic. And it's such a challenging time right now. Um, in terms of how we decide for ourselves, I think this is so personal. Um, I can share that in the congregation where I serve, Malchut, a number of years ago, we did make a collective decision, for example, and this isn't about anti-Semitism, but to not use the work of Shlomo Carlebach in our congregation, because of the history of abuse and sexual abuse. And the way we determined that was knowing that there could be survivors of his abuse who come to our shul, that we wouldn't want them to be harmed by our use of music. Um, so I think a guidepost might have to do with what is the harm, who is being harmed, what are the power dynamics involved. It's such a complicated question. But you know, when it came to that decision and the music, we have such a musical community and there's beautiful music everywhere. So we felt that we could make that decision for our community. But I also totally understand why someone wouldn't make that decision for themselves or their community, because that music is beautiful, you know, and doesn't mean the same thing to everybody. So I think that this is very much in line with this theme of that complexity and the both and sometimes it's the both and sometimes it's one or the other. Um, but I don't have a very clear, satisfying answer for that, except sitting in it, with all of you these days.
Thanks, Emily. I appreciate your willingness to be vulnerable, honest, and humble. And of course, right, we don't know what we don't know. And then when we do know, we do know. And I just really appreciate your response. So thanks for being willing to field it with courage. And perhaps this is also an opportunity for us to acknowledge that as a community, right, as Jews, you know, we are both very broken in some ways, with a profound and ancient legacy of oppression that we've inherited, and it's been transmitted through the generations and continues to be activated given, you know, circumstances here in the US and abroad in Israel, and beyond, with rising anti-Semitism. And at the same time, we also have this profound legacy of wholeness, spiritual wholeness. And you know, somehow we've managed to keep our tradition and our spiritual practices intact for all of these years, and we're developing new spiritual practices to meet the challenges of this time. So, you know, we can hold both of those truths within the spacious container of our awareness, as Emily invited us, and perhaps in so doing, you know, find our way to greater wholeness and healing. So, Emily, I just want to send us all off with a blessing for wholeness and healing this Shabbat. And may we take inspiration and practical guidance from your teaching today and put it to good use in our lives for the benefit of ourselves, the people in our community, and the world. Shabbat Shalom, friends. And thank you, Emily, again, for being our wise teacher and guide today.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you.
Shabbat Shalom.